This month the YouTuber space got a bit riled up over the sudden discussion of plagiarism and had many different YouTubers and members of their community debating about who's guilty of intellectual theft and how they should be held accountable. The YouTuber in question who initiated the discussion about this topic in the community is a prominent breadtuber known as hbomberguy. Breadtubers are an internet subculture of left-leaning content creators, usually socially liberal, soylent consumer types, whose content revolves around politically charged subjects with their social justice commentary inserted into it. This is a pretty accurate descriptor of hbomber's catalog. For the most part, his videos consist of covering controversial issues that are popular in his sector of the internet and giving his predictably left-wing perspective on them. With him uploading only about once every year, and with his videos' runtime often being hours long, it's a pretty big deal in the breadtuber space when he actually does decide to upload, and will have millions of people's attention directed at whatever topic he happens to cover. This year's video topic was of course plagiarism, specifically different YouTubers who are either already known to be guilty of it, or YouTubers that he proved guilty himself. Among the different creators that he called out in this video, like Angry Video Game Nerd and Illuminaughty and James Somerton, the most notable one that the discussion was primarily surrounding was Internet Historian. He was one of the creators mentioned in the video who are already known to be guilty of plagiarism, but up until now only small pockets of the commentary community really discussed it. hbomber was easily the largest YouTuber to date since the discovery was made who actually covered the drama. He focused particularly on Internet Historian's last upload, Man in Cave, which was actually one of my favorites and garnered nearly 10 million views if I recall correctly, before being mysteriously taken down via copyright strike. He updated his fan base on Twitter, who were all inquiring about how and why the video was struck, and gave a vague statement about making a couple of changes to the video before re-uploading it again 2 months after the tweet was made. The video featured a handful of seemingly arbitrary and insignificant changes to the narration and verbiage, which just led to his fanbase being even more confused about what exactly was wrong with the original video and why these changes to the video's structure had to be made.
Beneath him, sharp crystal shards dug into his skin. He can feel the sharp crystals on the ground poking into his back.
People initially thought that it was just a false copyright strike, just like countless other YouTubers have to deal with when he originally tweeted about it. But now, since he had just spent months making totally random changes to the video which added nothing of value and actually just made the script objectively worse, people were starting to wonder if the strike was actually legitimate. Just 2 days after this new version was uploaded, he inexplicably privated the video on his channel, which just added more fuel to his fans' interest in this mystery. His fans eventually discovered that the claim came from a company named Minute Media that originated in Israel, which upon finding out, anyone with a sense of humor can't help but crack a few jokes about it. That's at least what his audience was doing when the information came out, which really seemed to rub hbomber the wrong way, as in his video, he wasn't just an internet detective, but he was also the joke police. He was going on about how heckin' problematic and anti-Semitic his audience is for naming the country of origin, and also did an iDubbbz by criticizing irony and insinuating that it's just used as a veil for their truly hateful beliefs.
Some of them noticed Pro Sportority is based out of Israel and got anti-Semitic about it, but ironically, so it's fine. What an interesting audience he's built.
He does this thought policing thing a few more times throughout the video by bringing up the moral transgressions of Internet Historian by bringing up videos he made 7+ years ago, which he also happened to private. And again makes a snarky, sarcastic remark about his audience being a bunch of bigots because they decided to archive those videos.
Internet Historian has taken videos down before. A lot of them, in fact. Like dozens. None of these seem to be because of plagiarism. He says he just doesn't think they're very good anymore. I think he got a bit of what we in the business call trolls remorse. Like, oh, maybe this video was inappropriate and normal people would judge me for it. And he got rid of that video that's just a bunch of Tucker Carlson clips and reading a hentai in an extremely racist Japanese man impression. That's not advertiser friendly. And we want those World of Tanks bucks, don't we? But since his fans are, you know, normal cool people, they saved all those old videos and there are several channels dedicated purely to re-uploading all his old inconvenient stuff.
Does this guy think that even the act of archiving a piece of content that he finds offensive means that you share those same offensive beliefs? I guess he thinks that anything he finds offensive just shouldn't be archived or just shouldn't exist at all. I honestly have no idea what this has to do with his focal point about plagiarism in his video and why he decided to mention it. I mean, actually I do, but I'll get to it later. Between the point of internet historian making that tweet and him uploading the revised video months later, one of these archiver channels actually took the liberty of uploading the video themselves, only to be copyright struck again, except this time, they're given a very specific reason as to why in their YouTube studio. Apparently the narration for the Man in Cave video matched nearly verbatim with an article written by one Lucas Riley, who worked for the website Mental Floss, which was owned by the same Israeli company, Minute Media. The script and structure of even the re-uploaded version of the video was so undeniably similar to this article that he was caught dead to rights for blatant plagiarism. But again, only small parts of the community were actually aware of this, so most of his fans were still left in the dark as to why the video was claimed or why he privated it then after. One small commentary channel that I found which covered the plagiarism accusations in its entirety, ironically enough, happened to sound very similar to hbomber's video about plagiarism, which he made half a year later.
But the main difference between plagiarism and research is that plagiarism is stealing from one source, as research is stealing from multiple.
Stealing from lots of places is inspiration, but stealing from one place is plagiarism.
The only piece of information Internet Historian provided for why he at least privated it was his reply to a Reddit thread saying that it was due to complications. The video would remain privated for another 2 months with no further explanation, and when he finally did decide to upload it again, it was made unlisted. So the only way you could watch the video is if you had the specific link given to you by someone else. Again, the revisions he made to the narration in the new version were objectively worse than they were before, and to most people who had seen the original, it made no sense to them why these changes were made in the first place. The most salient point made against Internet Historian in hbomber's video was that his intentions were clearly malicious and could no longer be dismissed as some managerial error on his part, or just something that was overlooked in production. You could no longer really give him the benefit of the doubt after witnessing the lengths he went through just to hide the fact that this video was derivative of this article. From the vague tweet and refusing to give a proper explanation for why he was getting struck, to making changes to the video that seemed arbitrary to most viewers and not explaining why they needed to be made, to going out of his way to hide the source of the copyright claim so people wouldn't find the article and learn that the whole thing is plagiarized. He also let the video sit unlisted for months to prevent too many people from seeing it and possibly noticing the plagiarism as well. And he only made it public when he uploaded a new video, almost as a way to divert his audience's attention onto a new upload, so they would stop inquiring about the old one. It personally doesn't really bother me to learn that an Internet Historian video is shamelessly derivative of another source. I don't watch him for his insightful and original research. I watch him for his animated storytelling and narration. But I do have an issue with the fact that he not only never disclosed the primary and only source the video was derived from, but that he went out of his way to intentionally hide that source from his audience and play it off like it was his own intellectual property. I have no idea why he wasn't just honest from the jump and said something like, "This video is based off this article. I thought it was interesting enough to make a video about it." Because if he did and just provided the proper credit, I'm pretty sure no one would have ever had an issue with it. Or he could have at least credited the source the moment the plagiarism was brought to light, so he could at least give him the benefit of the doubt. Instead, he just confirmed his guilt beyond reasonable doubt because he thought he could undo what people had learned he already did. Again, I don't really care that he made a video using an article that I never would have read that was owned by a giant Jewish mega corporation. I just thought that his desperation in trying to hide that fact made him look very silly. I also don't care about the political disobedience of him and his audience, which hbomber seems to bring up incessantly in this video, like it's in any way related to the investigation of plagiarism.
The only people who really noticed the video coming back are the hardcore fans.
hbomber mentions that he didn't want his video to result in aimless witch hunts towards the different creators that he mentioned. But if that were the case, then why did he bring up totally irrelevant political transgressions from Internet Historian and his audience, which he has no responsibility for? Why would he mention his edgy humor and fan base when those have nothing to do with the point of the video and only serve to make his optics worse and fuel the cancel culture fire? This dude was clearly intending to character assassinate the people mentioned in this video, and his feigned charitability is just a farce. He's just a social justice goblin looking for virtual blood. It's obvious that he just wanted to do a hit piece on Internet Historian and tried to make him look as bad as possible just because he probably has some vendetta against him due to his political bias. He's one of these people where you could immediately assume their political alignment and the types of opinions they're gonna have about something just by looking at them and listening to them. Like, it doesn't surprise me at all that this is the guy that made his entire career out of policing right-wing humor and going out of his way to defend left-wing establishment think tanks. The online discourse since his video was uploaded was centered around him and his audience's ideological wrongthink instead of the actual thesis of the video, which was supposed to be an analysis of plagiarist creators. It just goes to show what really matters to these people and what their intentions actually are. These people are just a pathetic hive mind of cultural bottom feeders. When someone shows even a second of vulnerability or violates their social justice doctrine, they will use that as a warrant to brutalize them with any semblance of wrongdoing from their past, no matter how unrelated, until their livelihood is completely ruined. One of the things they really latched onto was the fact that Internet Historian set his birthday as the same day as Hitler online. So that must mean he worships him, case closed. Their goal is to really just cause as much damage as possible to whoever happens to be their villain that day, and the amount of damage caused is mostly dependent on the attitude of their audience and how much their audience cares about gay PC optics. Internet Historian did lose a sizable amount of subs as seen on Social Blade, but for the most part the damage seems pretty much negligible in terms of views and audience cohesion. Probably because his viewers aren't man-children who care about heckin' racism and anti-Semitism. On the other hand, you have a creator whose audience is mainly comprised of those types of people and who would have otherwise been completely destroyed by a scandal like this. In this case, that would be James Somerton. He's apparently a raging homosexual who reviews films and was on hbomber's hit list as he was mentioned in his video. And the backlash from his audience resulted in his subscriber account virtually being halved and led to him having a mental breakdown over it and leaving the internet like a gay bitch. Moral of the story, the best defense against these people is to be unapologetic and uncaring about their social political demands. Don't try to placate to these people's standards of morals, because then you just end up playing their game. And when you play their game, you always lose. I also noticed that these Twitter autists were taking their chance to go after Wendigoon for his political wrongthink as well, while the cancel culture snowball was rolling. I have no idea why he's catching strays, but I guess they want to crucify him because he's a Christian or he leans right-wing or something. I guess I might cover this in another video. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Join the Discord, like and subscribe. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.